Peace, everybody. How are y'all doing? This is Fasting is Life, and I'm back again with another awesome video stream podcast for y'all. I know it's been a while, but don't worry, I am back. On today's topic, it's gonna be one of the serious topics that I've talked about. For those of you who've been following my channel, I've touched on something similar before regarding suicide amongst servicemen in the United States. Well, today's topic is why male suicides are ignored by society. And what I'll basically do is I'm gonna read statistics articles regarding this subject, and I will show you some of the reports from international nations, the list of countries where suicide is high and low, and maybe we can crack down the reasons for such things. And I'll basically put my input regarding this. I know it's a very sensitive subject. I know for me personally, there have been people who are, I won't say too close to home, but people that I've known for years, that we build a relationship, that were a victim of this unfortunate event, what we call suicide. Someone taking their own life for whatever reasons, right? So, one moment. Also, before we can get into it, I want to remind you guys, for those of you who follow me on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel and stay updated on different contents that I talk about. So make sure you share to others. Who knows, maybe your words will reach somebody else out there who may feel like nobody is listening. There are many reasons. It is something that society is still struggling, trying to figure out. And me, for my background, coming from a third world country, what we call suicide is, I'll say, very rare. It's not a common thing that you hear about, even though you have a lot of people suffering. But to hear so and so, took their own life, it's something that, while growing up and being a teenager, it's something that we never heard of. But moving to the West, going to high school and hearing children around my age taking on their own life, and for many reasons, and as a young man, I'll be like, it just don't make any sense. Why would any young person who has a healthy life, a nice environment, you're in America, how can you do such thing? In a young man's logic, it never made any sense. And me personally, I love happiness. I love to smile. I love to make people laugh. I love the good things about life. And and I always tell people, and some people may think it's a joke, I tell people, I love life too much. I'm a loner by nature. I love my solitude. I love make people laugh, but I love being by myself. I tend to call myself, I'm a extreme introvert extrovert. I'm extremely introverted that I'm an extrovert. I love being alone so much that I love being with people. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Basically, I can play both sides. I love being around people, and I love being by myself. I make a joke. I'm like, you give me a nice environment, like a nice home or a nice place, lock me in for a month, be like, you know what, you're in timeout. You cannot go outside for a month. Guess what? I can do it. I can do it with no problem. Why? Because I'm comfortable with myself, my being, who I am. I love life. Life is the most beautiful thing as a creature on this earth could ever have. You know, regardless of the experience that I've had in my life, I love life too much. So there is no way in anywhere where people will be like, "Oh, I this guy took his own life." Never. And I tell people, I'm like, I love life too much. I will never, ever, ever give it up just like that. Never. Because I know, I have knowledge, I've gained wisdom, and I understand. And one thing I've come to realize is some people, when they have certain knowledge, they cannot handle it. It is too much. Right? Now, you may be asking, say, why did I name the title of this video Male Suicide? Why male suicides are being ignored? Because there's a stigma when it comes to men. Men have been programmed to be tough, to be this, to be that, which I'm not denying it's one of our attributes, but somehow it has been made into an extreme stereotype where society has used it as a weapon against men, where men's pleading voice are unheard by society. Society turn around and tell him, say, well, you're a man, toughen up. Why do you need counsel? You don't need no counsel. You're a man. You're supposed to overcome it automatically because you're a man. And as the world is changing, especially after coming with this worldwide pandemic caused by the elites of this world to change society into a new direction that most of the people were not ready for. But when this whole thing was happening, I knew what time it was. But the majority of the people still are clueless. Now, I'll tell you the truth. The main reason I chose to speak on this topic is because a recent YouTuber that I've been subscribed for a few years now, it was reported that he passed through suicide, but it was not confirmed until someone close to him, one of his co-worker who was also here on YouTube, confirmed that he tried to get in touch with him, and instead of talking to him, his brother basically replied to him and basically conveyed to him that his friend is no more. He passed away, which was it was this week, the beginning of the week. That's when we found out. I believe Tuesday or Wednesday, when we found out that this YouTuber, he was known here as Renegade Number One. He passed away. Let me see if I can pull up his picture. 1 second. Yes, there he is. He was a YouTuber, and he, some of his topics are very controversial. He was speaking about men's rights, the feminism agenda, societal programming, the red blue pill, male freedom, the degeneration, and he began to tap into topics such as nihilism, metaphysics, and social programming. So he was touching on a lot of controversial topics, and he come from, like, he post a content sometimes once a week, once every 2 weeks, or once a month, depending on his schedule. Most of us, we just knew him as a YouTuber. Beyond that, we didn't know his personal life, what he was going through in his own private life. And because we weren't close to him, we don't know the demons that he was fighting that led to his demise. So some people may give their opinion, but as a warning, I always tell people, the image people may give on YouTube might not reflect their personal life. I'll repeat, the image or persona that people give you on YouTube may not be who they are in real life. So you have to, I'll say most of the time, you have to look at YouTube and social media as someone in the act or acting or pulling a persona. They may give you maybe 1% of their life, 5%, but it's never 100%. So don't take things too hard. And even this video, I'm being very careful with certain words I want to say, because with my channel, YouTube is known for yanking some of my videos because of the content. And I'm trying to be very careful of what I say, because I actually want this message to go out and hopefully it may help others out there. But like I said, we live in a censorship era where you're not allowed to say certain things, show certain images, and they may use it to basically tell you that you are actually selling something or promoting negativity and stuff like that, which I am not. I'm just trying to inform and tell people what's going on. And like I said earlier, I love happiness. I love to laugh. I love being happy. I love to smile. I love being joyous, and I love being, in silence. I love being quiet. I love being relaxed. I love dreaming. I love playing video games, which I don't anymore because of work. I love being a man. I love being alive. That's the whole point. I love being alive. And I'm a generally happy person, go-lucky person. And people who know me in my personal life, they can attest to. I don't like to cause problems. I hate conflict, and I do my best to stay away from it. And if possible, I can help somebody. And I don't like to be the center of attention. I like to be more in the shadows. But even though sometimes it may not go as according to plan. But anywho, I will, do a U-turn and kind of come back to the subject. Like I say, I'm putting on screen the suicide prevention Lifeline. Anybody out there, this number is, USA. So if you are in the United States of America, in any states, you can call this 1-800 number. It's a free call number. If you're having suicidal thought, or you know somebody and you don't have the time to assist them, this 800 number basically is set up to basically assist those who may have mental problems and stuff like that. Usually when they call this number, they will talk to an operator who basically counsel them, talk to them, and just listen. And that's another thing that's been going on, especially after this pandemic. A lot of people were isolated. A lot of people were alone, right? What did they tell you? 6 feet apart, social distancing. And we're in 2021, so who knows the number of suicide? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? How, what would be the report this time, right? It's amazing, the times that we're living in. That's why, I have to think and slow down, because I don't want to rush this content, because it's very sensitive. I know some of you who are listening to me right now, you either have a family member, friends, or a co-worker who committed suicide. So you might be listening to this, you might be feeling like, oh man, this is what I'm thinking. This is, I'm going through this. And I'm here to tell you that, hey, I'm here for you in spirit, online, whatever. And know that you just not alone. as somebody who's gone through this or have known somebody who has gone through this. Death is not a good thing. And here's the truth. Like I say, the truth is bitter for those who hear it. When people say rest in peace, I ask them, how do you know? Have you been dead to know if someone who's dead is resting at peace? None of us have been dead. And how do we know? The dead have never come back. And that's a fact. Everyone who's gone, who was turned to dirt, none of them have come back to give us a report to tell us, hey, when I was dead, I was at peace. None of us have experienced that. So none of us know whoever who has passed, what is the experience after this life, after giving up their last breath. None of us know. So the truth is, when people say rest in peace, it's just another societal programming to say something nice as comfort. Because anyone who's in sound mind, you'd be like, rest in peace? How do you know this person is at peace? You don't know. This person is dead, but to say that he's resting in peace, how do you know? You don't know. Nobody knows. We can have assumption or whatever, but just know that, I know some people will be like, oh man, I know some people who get annoyed with that phrase, rest in peace. They'll be like, man, how can you say that? You don't know. So that's just, something that crossed my mind when I think about these things. I see a lot of people say, oh, rest in peace, and I'll be like, I don't even like to say that word. The only phrase I say is, when someone passes, I say my condolences. Because really, think about this, people. What can you tell someone who has lost a loved one? What can you say? Really, think about it. Nothing. Their loved one is dead. What is there to say anymore? Nothing. They're gone. They're never coming back. Never. But guess what? All of us who are alive, one day we're gonna join where the dead go. And that's a fact. There you go. That's the hard truth that most people don't want to hear, especially when it's time when they lose a loved one. And now what I'll do is, I'm gonna read you a report. Now, I know this video is gonna be a long video because it's a sensitive subject. I really want to dive deep and basically speak what's been going through my mind so I can find release. And again, for those of you listening, coming in, just a reminder, please, thank you for stopping by to my podcast, stream, and video. And make sure to like and subscribe and share to others who may find this message helpful. I'm no doctor or psychiatrist, but I'm just speaking my mind on this topic, and hopefully my words, if heard, can help somebody out there who may be thinking about suicidal thoughts, and just stay tuned. My channel, I focus more on spirituality and stuff like that, because in my opinion, spirituality helps free your mind, because we live in a world that is full of crazy and complex things, and many people are just unaware, or they have their own way of thinking, but they don't understand this world is not as we've been taught. That's why most of my message, I mostly rely on the scriptures, and this is one thing I've learned as I aged, that sometimes we as men, we get stuck in our head. It's our nature. We we think linear, right? Men are known for planning, coming up with solutions, and even throughout many cultures, men tend to hold in their emotions, right? Because we're both male and females. We have emotions and logic, but men tend to exert their logical side more, and their emotion side we tend to keep it down. We have our ways of expressing emotions, but as I said, it's not the same as how women do it. And one thing I've come to realize is men, the reason why men tend to keep to themselves is because society judges them for being soft or being weak for expressing their sorrow, their anxiety, or their mental distress to their fellow men or friends. And especially if a man seek counsel to a female counterpart and express himself, he will be judged. He will not be respected. He be looked down upon. And when certain men bring this up, guess what? Like I said earlier, they are shamed. They're told to toughen up. And these are some of the many causes, because most of the cries of men who tend to commit suicide, all of them have this common phrase in common. They say, nobody listens. Everybody expects us to toughen up, to be men. And even after the suicide, guess what society does? They double down more and more. And hence why I named the title of my video, While Men Suicides Are Ignored in Society. Remember that in every civilization, as it increases and advances, somehow man suicide seems to rise up. Some of those questions say, why is this happening? What's going on? So let me go to this article that talked about suicide, and this article is from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And I'm gonna read you certain information like the statistics and stuff like that. Check this out. It says suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. In 2019, 47,511 Americans died by suicide. It's interesting. About 56,000 Americans died during the Vietnam War, the whole course of Vietnam War. 56,000, and in 2019, over 47,000 Americans died by suicide right here at home. And it says in 2019 there were an estimated 1,380 1,380,000 plus suicide attempts, right? And let me read you some additional facts about suicide. It says the age-adjusted suicide rate in 2019 was 13.9 per 100,000 individuals. The rate of suicide is highest in middle-aged white men, Caucasians. So they're saying that the highest rate of suicide is amongst Caucasian males. They're the highest in America to commit suicide. Hence, that's what I'm saying. It's confirming what I'm saying. The males, because Caucasian are the majority in America, so it will make sense when we say male suicide. Their numbers will be higher because they're the largest in the U.S. population. In 2019, it says men die by suicide over 3 times or about 4 times more often than women. On average, there are 130 suicides per day. Wow. It says white males accounted for 69.38% of suicide deaths in 2019. In 2019, firearms accounted for 50% of all suicide deaths. And then he mentions, it says 92% of the adults surveyed in the United States think suicide can be prevented. Yeah, anything can be prevented, but the thing is, when you live in a society that play mind games, of course. And to mention somebody that I knew is basically going to be added, because all the people, excuse me, I'm moving my cords here. The people who I've known who committed suicide, all the ones that I knew, all of them, it was through a weapon, a firearm, a gun. And let me read another was a graph. It says in 2019 the suicide rates were highest among adults between the age of 45 to 54 years, and it says the rate is 19 was basically 20 adults per 100,000, and 55 to 64 it says 19.4, and the other one was 19.6. So basically I was rounding it up. So this one said 19 per 100,000, with the rate highest among adults between ages 85 plus or older. The only age group with an increased rate from 19 in 2018 2018 to 20 in 2019. It says younger groups have had consistently lower suicide rates than middle-aged and older adults. It says in 2019, adolescents and young adults age between 15 to 24 had a suicide rate of 13.95. So, and this website is called again American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and they got the reports from CDC and other websites. But I wanted to read more on this. I just wanted to mention this to kind of let you guys know, what happens. And I'm gonna just move this image quick. Like I said, YouTube, they don't like certain things, so that's why I'm very careful on what I can show and what I can talk about. I'm being very careful. YouTube, the censorship is an all-time high, and this topic, we could talk about this for hours. I wanted to have a live stream about this, but I decided to do a pre-record. That way I can basically speak my mind and basically get all the thoughts and train of thoughts that's going through my mind and just spit it out, while at the same time monitor, because I'm being very careful, saying things that I want to say. And I also wanted to give you a list of nations. There's a list that I found from this website called World Population Review, and it says suicide rate by countries in 2021. And I'm looking at a list. It says here are the 10 countries with the highest rates of suicide. The first country, number 1, is Lithuania, which is in Europe. Lithuania, and it says they have 31. Well, rounding it up, we say 31.9, so 32 per 100,000 people. Russia is number 2, 31 even per 100k people, 100,000. Guyana, it's a country in South America, 29. South Korea is number 4 with 26.9 or 27. Belarus is number 26. Suriname, let me make sure, because some of you may not know where this country is. Suriname is, hold on, let me bring up the map. Suriname population. Wow, it's a small it's a small nation. Wow. The population was over 500k in population, and it's in a nation in South America. So there you have it, 590,000 people, and their suicidal rate is 22.8 per 100k people, and they're in number. Let me make sure they're number 6. So you have Lithuania number 1, Russia number 2, number 3 Guyana, number 4 South Korea, number 5 Belarus, number 6 Suriname, number 7 Kazakhstan. Wow, 22.5 per 100k. Ukraine is number 8. Lesotho, which is in South Africa, 21. And Latvia, West Europe, is number 21. Latvia. Wow, this is wild, man. Damn. Wow. And I mean, there you have it. These are it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting, man. That's what I tell people. Suicide is crazy. It's unexpected. And let me see the other report. Okay, it says when it comes to the United States on the list, United States is number 27 on the list. So America on the list of suicide rank is number 27. Japan is number 14. France is number 17. Switzerland 18. Croatia number 19 in suicide. Equatorial Guinea is number 20. India 21. Poland 22. Finland 23. Moldova 24. Austria number 25. Serbia 26. Wow. Estonia is Estonia. Wow. Slovenia is number 13. Hungary number 12. Belgium number 11. And let me see which country has the lowest on the list. Antigua and Barbuda, they're number 183 on the list, and their rate is 0.5. Barbados 0.8. Grenada 1.7. Bahamas 1.7. Syria 1.9. Jamaica 2.2. So basically I'm going from the bottom on the list going up, and it's interesting. Pakistan is number 169 on the list, and their rate is 2.9. Iraq number 165 when it comes to suicide, and their rate is 3.100k. Wow. Venezuela, which is in economic chaos right now, their suicidal rate is, let me make sure. Venezuela, I just saw it earlier. Hold on. Venezuela number, was it 156 on the list? 3.7. Let me go. Philippines number 163, 3.2. Saudi Arabia 164 on the list, 3.2. Let me see if I can find my country, Congo. Okay. DRC, Congo, number 122 on the list, 5.7. And the other side, Congo Brazza, is 121 on the list. So we're basically next to each other. And there is 5.9. So it's way lower than. So it proves what I said earlier, that suicide in my country was unheard of. It was unheard of. And it's an interesting topic. So I'm reading all these statistics to kind of give you an idea what I'm trying to convey, to show you what's going on. And I notice a pattern that most of the countries with the highest suicidal rate tends to be first world and second world countries, quote unquote developed countries. And some of the countries, they'll refer to them as second world because they're a little bit advanced than others. But on the map of this site, when I look at it, looking at the map, they have a graphic map where you can use your arrow and basically show Russia is very bright in color because is the highest in the ranking. Is number 2, and China is China is 69 rank. And then it basically shows you the darker the color, the lower the rate, and the lighter the color, the highest the rate. So it's very interesting that the nations in a map that are quote unquote called third world countries have the lowest suicidal rates than most of the quote unquote Western and first developed countries. So it's an interesting thing to look about. What else can I mention? Now, on the topic about suicide about men, there's an article by this gentleman called Jerry Kennard, PhD. He published this in December of 2020, and he basically mentioned some of the stuff that I said earlier. And let me read some of his findings. He said risk factor. He said the most common risk factor for suicides are being bullied at school, college, or work, divorce, or relationship breakdown. And this second part that I right here, the relationship part, yes, that happens a lot. And if you can do your research, there are you have people who had breakups. They'll come online or social media, basically express themselves. Oh, so and so left me, and this and that, and just it's kind of like a therapy section. And some people they'll go as far as taking their own life. That's when it goes too far. And speaking about this, maybe some of you who are listening, you may understand this. One pattern that I've noticed to the people who tend to commit this act, they don't go out of their way to seek help. It could be for fear of being shamed or a lot of reasons, but maybe, just maybe, sometimes you have to put your helping hand out there, because people are promote about having knowledge. People have to realize this is the reality of this life. Nobody cares about you, and second of all, nobody can read minds. So if you're sitting out there assuming or expecting people to understand what you're thinking, that is one of the biggest mistakes ever you can make as a man, as a being, whether you're man or woman. Don't expect people outside of yourself, outside of your mind, to know what you're thinking or contemplating. Nobody knows. And guess what? Nobody cares. That's the truth. I know some of you may not accept it, but at the end of the day, people are selfish because we're a selfish creature. That's how we are made. Why do you think we have terms like survival mode? When you survival mode instinct kicks in, who wants to survive? Your being. You want to save yourself. When you hear stories, when people hear a gunshot, what do people do? Everybody runs. Why are they running? Like the African, why are you running? You know why everybody's running? Their survival mode program kicks in. Everybody runs for themselves. Even in a time of war, there have been stories where mothers hear bombs and shootings, they run and they leave their baby. Think about this: a mother with a child leaves their baby, run away for fear of death, and by the time they come to their senses, they realize they don't have their baby in their hands. Why? Because panic came in and they didn't want to die, so they ran. They ran so far away, and I ran so far away, I couldn't get away. That is the reality of this world. And that's why I chose to speak on the topic of suicide, because I know a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, stop talking about this Bible thing, you Bible, in the Bible, like other stuff, people, they'll be making fun of me. But I tell people, I find comfort knowing what is written in that book that people hate, because you know what? That book gives me peace. And I'm gonna read you this verse, right? It talks about knowledge, and I'm gonna read you. It's from the book of Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, right? Sorry, that's another book. No, this one is from Ecclesiastes. It's another book of Solomon. It comes after the book of Proverbs. Ecclesiastes in chapter 1, starting with verse 17. This is the wise man. He was the wisest man of his time. He had so many knowledge. The knowledge of the stars, the knowledge of technology, the knowledge of nature. He knew so much that people from all the worlds, magi, magician, people who knew mysticism, spirituality, they came to him to seek wisdom. And watch this, even with all his wisdom, he had questions. And he was thinking, right? As a wise man, he had a philosophical mindset, and he was thinking, asking questions. And this is what he said in verse 17 in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 17, starting 17. The main verse is 18, but I wanted to start in 17. He says, and I gave my heart to know wisdom, and to know madness and folly. I perceived that this also is vexation of spirit. For those of you who don't know, vexation, right? It's VEXATION. And let me use my tool. The definition of vexation, it says, noun, the state of being annoyed, frustrated, worried. It says something that causes annoyance, frustration, or worry. And I'm adding also that to what I'm speaking earlier. Many of the men who tend to commit suicide have what leads them to have suicidal thoughts is vexation of spirit, depression, and another propaganda that that's been happening, especially here in the West, is mental illness. Now, this is what their science speak about, where some men will have sorrow, they will start hearing thoughts, they will take pills, medication, and the medication side effects, they'll say it will be what? Mental illness, having suicidal thoughts. This is not a assumption. This is a fact. This is a fact. You can literally go on Google right now, right? For those of you listening to me, whether in America or around the world out there listening, you can literally go to Google, type in side effects, was it suicidal pills that give you side effects? Sorry, was it pharmaceutical pills that give you suicidal? Was it suicidal thoughts, right? And you'll be amazed at the drugs that do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it now. That way, let's see. Let me see. Pills with suicide. Okay. Pills with. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Let's see. It says 10 drugs that can cause depression. This is an article that was written in September last year. So let me read you. It says type of drugs that can cause depression. Now listen to this. And when they say depression, see, like I would say, the devil is very slick with words. There was a medication that I was doing research on. One of the side effects, listen to this, guys. It literally says one of the side effects of this pill is stopped heart. Listen to this. Stopped heart. Okay, use your mind. When your heart stops, what happens? What happens? But you see, they didn't want to say death. They say stopped heart. Because if your heart stops, what happens to you? You're dead. And it was a long list. But watch this. When it comes to health topics, if I have to speak on this, it's gonna be it has to be outside of YouTube, because YouTube will delete my video. I'm already on strike because of something that happened a few weeks back. But just to show you another reason why some of the things cannot be done, because we live in a society that gives you mixed messages. They say they're about freedom, they're about free speech, but you can't say certain things or you'll be removed from the certain spaces. Just to show you that's what I'm saying. Those mixed messages is another reason that's causing a lot of men and women to be confused in the mind, and men tend to be victim of it. If you live in a society that tells you can't be a man, you can't be this, and you're stuck in your mind, you're like, but I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. No, you're not supposed to do that. But be a man. Don't do what man does, but be a man. That can be confusing. You're not supposed to express emotion. You're not supposed to do this. Now, let me give you the list of drugs that can cause depression. Depression is key word for what? Mental illness, because it's included. It says, while not a comprehensive list, the following are 10 common types, keyword types of drugs that are associated with depression symptoms, plural. You should consult with a doctor or pharmacist, drug dealers, and witch doctors. These are quote unquote modernized, but it's not even modernized, because if you break down, pharmacist is Greek, from Greek pharmakia, which translates to what? Alchemy, witchcraft. For information about your own specific medication regimen. So, that's why I always say, when I want to speak about health, I have to say, I'm not a doctor. Consult your healthcare. But here I'm giving you a list of pharmaceutical drugs, types of them, that they prescribe to you, that can lead you to have mental illness and what? Suicidal thoughts. Listen to this. And before I can continue, guys, remember, don't forget to share this message, because you don't know who's ill or who's hears it may fall on. You'll be doing a great service to spread this message. Please like, share, send this message. It may help somebody. All right, let me go back to the list. It says, all right. Again, let me make sure I'm reading it right. Okay. First on the list, beta blockers. Beta blockers are generally prescribed in the treatment of high blood pressure, although they may be also used to treat migraine. Let me stop here. Remember the list I read earlier that was saying that the age group of people who tend to commit suicide in large number are from what? 45 and up. And what those people of that age group have with this in common? Most men of those group or people of that age tend to have what? High blood pressure. High blood pressure, and they're given what? Pills. High blood blood pressure pills. All right, let me continue. It says they may also be used. Beta blockers are used to treat migraines, angina, irregular heartbeat, and tremors. They may also be given as eye drops in the treatment of glaucoma. Example of these type of drugs include Toprol XL, Metoprolol, and Inderol, Propranolol. These Greek names. Second type, cortisol steroids. These medications are often used to treat inflammatory conditions such as lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, gout, and Sjögren syndrome. It seems like it's a Norwegian. It's SJ and then O with 2 dots in the up on it. GREN. So I don't know how to say it. We'll say Sjögren, or I don't know how to say it. It's a foreign name. I've never seen this before. And then it says cortisol steroids can cause a variety of psychiatric symptoms. It is thought that among other effects, cortisol steroids affect serotonin, a substance produced by the brain, which is believed to be involved in mood regulation. It says examples of this type of medication include cortisone, prednisone, methylprednisolone, and triamcinolone. Third, it says benzodiazepine. Benzodiazepine. Sorry for me struggling because it's a long name. So diazepine. These drugs are used in treatment of anxiety and insomnia, or when it is necessary to cause the muscles to relax. And it says Xanax is one of them. And then it says Restoril, temazepam, and Valium. Yeah, I don't know Valium. Parkinson's drugs. Parkinson's disease, the drugs that are given, it says those are the drugs. And what's the list? Atamet and Cinemet and Mirapex and Requib. And let me just, it's not me going into it. It says drugs that affect hormones, those can give you suicidal thoughts. Again, they talk about depression, but I'm basically simplifying to you. If you take any of these things, one of the side effects will be suicidal thoughts. Stimulants, anticonvulsants, proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, and H2 blockers, statins and other cholesterol-lowering drugs, anticholinergic drugs. It says bentyl, like BENTYL, dicyclomine. That's a known one. It says drugs that are used to treat irritable bowel syndromes. It says because they can affect central nervous system, they have some association with depressive symptoms. It says other drugs that can cause depression: acne medications, pain relievers, allergy medications, thyroid medications, antibiotics. So, and this article, it's what 10 drugs that can cause depression. And let me see, it says signs of depression. All right, signs of depression. And again, I've hit the 56 mark of this podcast and stream and video. Please, for those of you listening, if you're still here, I know it's a long message, but it has to be done. Please make sure to like and subscribe and share this message. Hopefully someone out there may need to hear this, maybe my help. I'm just doing what I can at this moment. This is all I can do for now. This is all I can do, and hopefully somebody be out there. Let me continue. It says the most noticeable symptom of depression is, of course, a feeling of sadness and low mood. Other than a depressed mood, however, there are other possible symptoms of depression that you might experience, like the following. Here's the list. Feelings of hopelessness or helplessness. Feelings of guilt or worthlessness. Anxiety. Irritability and restlessness. Fatigue and low energy. Problems with sleep. Problems with appetite or weight. Problems with thinking, memory, and concentration. Loss of interest in things once enjoyed. Thoughts of death or suicide. It can be helpful to write down details like when your symptoms first started and when they are the most severe. With many medications, you may begin to start noticing such symptoms within the first few weeks after you begin a new drug. And here's another thing that I learned years ago. It is said that 50% of Americans are under psychotropic drugs, meaning almost 50% of Americans walking out here that we meet on the road, that we talk to at the stores, that we converse, that we work with, that we laugh with, and all that stuff, they may be taking some drugs that will lead them to start thinking suicidal thoughts. And out of those people are those who actually go through it and do it. So you see, there, like I always say, the truth is bitter. There's an industry out here that is profiting with all of this. And maybe, just maybe, when we come to this title that I named, why are male suicides are ignored by society? This is my opinion now. This is my opinion. This is not a fact. I'll repeat, this is not a fact. This is just my observation using my own understanding. To answer this question, if it was to be made into a question, why male suicides are ignored by society? You want to know why? Maybe society, quote unquote, benefit. That's why it is ignored. If we're talking about it, it's because society benefits from it. If they didn't, they would have done something about it. But because they benefit from it, maybe that's why we're talking about it right now. But what do I know? It can be confirmed. But maybe the evidence, the things that are listed, maybe it can add to my opinion. But I think 1 hour on this subject has been enough. I wasn't expecting this to be this long. I was hoping maybe it would be like 45 minutes, but I reached the 1 hour mark. And I know we live in a time in a society where we have a short attention span. So if you've made this far in this message, congratulations. Maybe someone out there that you share with, they will have the patience to see through this whole hour and to hear the whole matter. And that, like I say, it's the society we live in. The people are being programmed to have a short attention span, which also adds in to the depression rate. Because if you live in a society where people cannot sit still and be focused, how can they sit and listen to you? Like this, the image I have, it says, feel invisible, nobody understand. We see you, we believe you, we want to help. The question is, who is the we? Because if everybody around me has a short attention span, they can sit still for more than 10 minutes. How can they listen to me if I want to speak to them for 2 hours? I have this crazy thing in my head, these voices and all that stuff. How can you help me? You say you want to help, but everybody around me that I can look for answers, they don't want to even sit still and listen to me. You know? Like I say, man, society, the people in high places, they know man, but they've trained society not to understand men. Men by natures, we are very territorial. We like our own space, we like our own comfort. And because society don't understand us, when men cry for help, they are ignored. See, men understand men. That's why we create brotherhood. And we heard many times, many men that we say, you know what? I was going through a hard life. I thought about suicide, but because I built friendship and brotherhood, true brotherhood, because sometimes some friendships are not genuine. But when you genuinely want to help people, it changes you. And that's why, another reason why on my channel I advocate fasting. See, the name fasting is like, people don't understand. There's a reason why I named it. Fasting clears your mind. I don't promote psychotropic drugs. I promote natural healing. I say your body is your king. You can heal it. And if you live in a society where everything is about these pills that I give you a list, no wonder people having these problems. People don't understand. Demons are real. Those voices that are telling you to commit those things, it's not you. Like, there are some things that I don't want to say because we live in a censorship world. But what I'll do is, maybe in the future I'll make a stream where I can say anything I want and put it on Anchor. Yeah, I'll put it on Anchor and just put like a promo on YouTube and basically let people, like, direct people to the stream so they can go listen to it either on Anchor or go to what is it? OnlyFans. I made like a OnlyFans account only for me posting free videos that I quote unquote call controversial by YouTube that cannot be posted because I don't want to lose this channel. This channel, I've built it for almost 3 years, and I'm like, this name, Fasting is Life. I think it's in a way, the name itself sells. So fasting is life, and we live in a society that don't even promote it. They demonize it. So again, if you know anybody out there who may be going through depression, stuff like that, maybe give them this message. And like I say, I have the suicide hotline. But like I said, look in your life. What are the things you are doing that's leading you to have depression and stuff like that, are you taking any psychotropic drugs? Are you do you have healthy relationship? Do you have good friends that you talk to? Do you speak into the wind? Prayer. People don't remember. Look, guys, even if you don't have somebody to talk to, do you know that there's one person who will always be there for you? Do you want to know who that person is? The Most High. The Most High is always there. You can't see him, but he's there. Why do you think prayer, regardless of your religion, why do you think prayer works? Because you let's say you're speaking, right? You're praying. Someone on the outside will call you crazy. Why? Because you're just speaking to yourself. But no, prayer is another form of therapy. So as man, why don't you try prayer? You can, I'll recommend you praying to your creator. Pray to the creator. If you have something in your mind that you want to speak, just talk as if somebody's there. Or talk to your pet. Go to the woods, nature. Go sit in nature. Talk to the lake. Talk to the trees. Talk to the birds. Speak into the wind. There's a verse in the Bible. It says, speak unto the wind and the wind will carry your words. But people like us who can give you this message, we are being restricted by society. We're being restricted by the media. We're being restricted by those people who are enemies, who don't want you to succeed, who don't want you to love this precious life. I'm not saying that life is always goody, happy. No. Life can be hard. Life is hard. But being alive is the most wonderful thing you can have. And to show you that it's not your thought, we just gave you proof that those chemicals, when you take it in, it makes your body unbalanced. Do people know that love, the feeling of sadness, the feeling of anger, it's all chemical reaction in your body? But when it's not balanced, that's what leads. And you know what the imbalance is caused by? What? Demons, spirits. Spirits are within pharmakia. That is the truth. They don't want to tell you. But like I say, this is as far as I can go when it comes to this subject, because the battle is still raging on. We are censored to not say what we really want to say. But I hope those of you listening in, maybe my message will resonate with you, and maybe you may look for solutions to your mental depression. I want to salute all the brothers out there who are affected by this message, by this brother. A lot of people, were following him. They were heeding to his message. He was ascending in knowledge when it comes to metaphysics, the reality of this world. Shout out to Renegade number 1. He passed away through suicide last week. And I don't know his family, but if the family ever happens to fall on this, I want to say my condolences to you. And I know death is not a pretty thing. And like I say, man, we as men, you as a man, if you're listening to me, wherever you are, I know how we are. We like to be in our minds. We don't like to, let's just say how society, we don't like to be like women and just yak, talk. Why? Because that's how women release their depression, by talking. Blah, blah, blah. We make fun of women, but that's how they heal. And we men, we do talk, but the thing is, our nature, because of our pride, our territorial tendencies, we tend to keep things to ourselves. So maybe as men, we know society don't give a damn about us. So let's take our own power within, to ourselves, because society is not going to do it. And let's make the next generation better, starting with ourselves, to speak into the wind, find good friends who will listen to you and not judge you. And if not, your friend could be an animal. It could be the wind. It could be the most high, someone you can see. It could be a bird flying in the sky. It could be the lakes, the river, the ocean. You go to the ocean, you speaking into the water. It could be a pile of sand. You just go there, speak to the sand. It could be your car. You get in your car, you're talking to your car. Why? Just so you could clear your head. We as men, we love to stay in our head. It's our nature. We're solution-based people. We love to plan. So in order for you to plan, you have to think. You have to think. You have to think. And we suck in knowledge, and that's why we have to release it. The problem is, sometimes we don't know how to release because of the reaction we may get. Don't be afraid to seek help. And there are people out there who probably are around you that you don't even know. So if you keep silence, if you keep things in your heart, how can people know? So, and also remember, you have to also look with yourself. Are you taking any drugs? Those are some of the questions you can ask yourself. But if you're not taking any drugs, you're basically perfectly fine, and you're feeling these kind of feelings, maybe it could be something else. Let's say if you lost a loved one through divorce, death, something, accident, it could be anything, because suicide doesn't have to be caused by drugs. It could be depression based on trauma by, you losing a loved one, or being affected mentally by seeing something, a shock. It could be anything. Don't be afraid to express yourself. So that's why things like the phone number here, the suicide hotline, that's why it was established. So again, guys, I want to thank you very much. I appreciate you enduring this long stream. It was needed. It was very needed. I want to thank you very much. I appreciate your support, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe, and if you know somebody who needs help, please don't be afraid to reach them out. A simple text, "Hey, what's up?" is all needed. You never know. And to just close, one of these young men that I knew, I remember in my old cell phone years ago, I'll say it's probably 9 years ago, 9 or 12 years ago, the last message I got from him, I was like, "Hey man, it's been a while, man, how have you been?" He said, "Oh, I'm doing great." And then 2 weeks later, he passed through suicide. Till today, I was in shock. I was like, man, it's crazy. 2 weeks ago, I talked to you, and 2 weeks later, he passed. So you just never know, man. Don't be afraid to reach out and talk to somebody. I know, we as men, we may not want to, but you got to, man. Like I say, you don't know the people who appreciate you, the people who look up to you. Because sometimes we're overwhelmed with hatred from all the people who hate us. We feel like we're alone. We're not alone. So if you're hearing this message, that means you're not alone. There are people out there who will help you. So peace and blessing. May the Most High bless you. We are in the age of the awakening. Many things are happening. But for those of you who stand tall and proud, who are connected with the Creator, He will lead us to victory. We will overcome this. This is nothing. So stay tuned. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on my next stream. Y'all have a great weekend. Peace.